Well, welcome again, everyone. It's me, Nick Michalak, and the magnificent Steve Frazier.
Oh, thank you.
And we're bringing to you a 45th anniversary commentary for Richard Donner's The Omen.
45.
That's a long time.
Before us.
That's about Donner, half of Donner's lifetime. He's 91 right now.
Get out of here. He's 91?
Yeah.
Wow.
Whew.
That means he was 45 then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well,
and he'd only made a couple movies.
he had barely made any movies at that point. He did TV, he did commercials, stuff like that, but we can get into that. Let's get synced up with the timestamp to 0, and we give you a countdown to get going on, and get your subtitles turned on, and we'll get going. So in 3, 2, 1, play.
This is one of our oldest anniversary offerings, I think.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Have we done a movie that's older than this?
Chainsaw.
Okay.
Black Christmas by like a year or so.
All right. Man, I forget how early, Black Christmas was.
Yeah.
It's so early. Yeah, Donner. Hard to believe that this guy would go on to do, like Goonies and...
Superman and Lethal.
Right, Lethal Weapon. It's weird.
Yeah.
Because they're not the same.
No. It's so weird. It's like, okay, yeah. This film was generally a big hit. It went over really big with audiences and critics and anything. And so he just became like the hot guy. It's like, well, this guy made a big film, so everyone's just going to offer him anything, regardless of what it is. So, like, I don't see how you watch The Omen. It's like, oh, this guy's perfect to make Superman.
Right.
It's like the diametric complete opposite of the style of film you get for that, but he was a perfect guy for it.
Jerry Goldsmith. Academy Award-winning Jerry Goldsmith, I believe, for this movie.
This is the only one he ever won for.
That's crazy.
And because he'd lost so many times at the Oscars.
Seltzer.
But since Goldsmith had lost so many times, he didn't attend the ceremony, and then he won.
Oh, my God.
And he never won again.
That's crazy.
Think of the body of work of Jerry Goldsmith. How has this guy never won anything else?
June 6th, 6 a.m.
Yes.
Huh. Exactly, 6 a.m.
Mm-hmm. I'm watching the new Scream Factory one, which is a 4K remaster.
It does look pretty good so far. The child is dead is kind of a cool opening line.
A little more audio here.
This guy looks like he's 50.
Yeah, that's the kind of odd thing. I mean, like, Peck was a big name at the time. I mean, he won Oscar. Kill Mockingbird was an Oscar winner, was it?
I know he's won, but I don't know if he won for that or something else.
But that was his iconic role. So I mean, the guy was a big deal. But I guess he hadn't been working in a couple of years, so kind of almost semi-retired type of thing. But I guess his oldest son had died, and they ruled it a suicide. He didn't think it was.
Oh, really?
And he was kind of in that state of mind and everything like that. And I guess his angel was kind of pushing him to try and get out and do something. And
so this is the role?
Around.
The role of...
Well, it kind of rings true to him and everything. It'll at least, I would imagine it kind of works as sort of a catharsis to him or something, way to kind of work through it.
This transfer is beautiful, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I can see every pore on his face.
Yeah.
I always remember this being kind of dark, like the image, kind of the color timing.
A little murky in the...
Yeah. Couldn't always tell what was going on.
Yeah. I had a Steelbook DVD of this several years ago. Man, they did a good job here.
So the kid that plays Damien in this movie, he's like 50 now. Is he still? I wonder what has become of him. I wonder if he did anything else. I saw his name in the credits and I was like, huh.
I was watching documentaries. They didn't interview him at all.
Yeah, who knows? He might not even be alive. I've never looked.
Harvey Stevens.
double first name. This is in that era in the 70s. I know you're not big on 70s drama, really, but there was a period in the 70s where these dramas came out that did not hold your hand and explain every little thing to you.
Yeah.
It was very dialogue driven, and you just had to kind of figure out what they were talking about. At no point did this guy ever say, hey, we're going to replace your dead kid with this one.
Right.
It's very kind of read between the lines. So if you're not really paying attention, or you can't hear it very well, like, you might just assume that this is his regular kid.
Yeah.
That guy's creepy looking, that priest. I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh, just like Harvey Stevenson 2017 road rage incident where he suspended prison sentence, but he still had things going on, and then he had 12 months in jail or something. I don't know. It's weird. 12 months in jail, suspended for 2 years for causing actual bodily harm. So that's weird stuff. Filmography's almost nothing.
She's got an awful lot of makeup on for giving birth. Is this really an era where the mom wouldn't be told that the kid died, like, within moments? Like, well, Gregory Peck knew in the
as
car.
As we're watching the film presented to us linearly, it seems unusual.
Right. I mean, Gregory Peck knew in the car on the way over.
Right.
Like,
yeah, that's...
Like, you wouldn't tell the mother?
You'd probably have to go back in time and kind of read the social...
Here's me just being a nitpicky bastard right off the bat.
There was still, I don't know how much in the 70s, but I mean, there was still at least a time before that where it's like, this is the man of the family. He takes care of the choices and the decisions, stuff like that.
All right, yep.
The woman's just there in a certain way.
I get it. That's fine. I'm not sure they'd have a male doing the sweeping of the foyer.
Nice pinstripe.
It is a great looking suit. She's got the big collar on. I like it. Man, the coloring is so rich. It's bright, it's vibrant. Mm-hmm. This is a great transfer.
Yeah.
That'd be a hell of a job, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Ambassador. I don't know if I could, pick up my family and go to London. I mean, I probably would. I'm such a traveler. And I really wouldn't mind a palatial country estate.
Sure.
Especially if it's paid for by the U.S. government.
Sure.
USA #1. Like says the Iron Sheik. No, he didn't say that. He said...
No.
He spit on the USA. Iran #1.
Oh, boy.
I dream of a day that I can have those bookshelves built in.
Oh, it's fabulous.
Built in. Look at all of this library space.
Yeah.
I could fill it all up right now.
Mm-hmm.
Couple of books, she says.
A couple of books.
I believe the gentleman who wrote this screenplay also wrote the novel. Is that correct?
Yes, he did.
And I wonder if there's any sort of... Obviously, this movie is, predicated on, like, religion.
Sure.
And I'm wondering... I don't know when the original novel was produced, but do we think that there was any sort of piggybacking on the success of The Exorcist?
Yeah, there was.
That, made religious topic horror, quote-unquote, because this really is more of a drama.
Right.
Much like The Exorcist. I've always claimed The Exorcist is just a drama with horrific elements.
Yeah.
If The Exorcist hadn't come out, does this movie still get made?
Well, no, I mean, because literally there was a producer who sat down with the screenwriter and said, basically, did you see The Exorcist? Yeah? Well, make me something like that.
Well, there you go. That answers my question.
And apparently the thing started out at Warner Brothers, but they were also developing Exorcist 2 at the time.
Which is a terrible movie.
Yeah, so it was like, the Omen script was about to get thrown into turnaround, so they're just going to throw it on a shelf and kind of think about it a couple years later. But I guess Donner got wind of it, and Fox head Alan Ladd Jr., he kind of roped everything back around and got the rights over to Fox, and they moved forward with it that way.
You just kept on walking and didn't pay attention to where your child was? And this is in England, yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was tipped off by the swans over there, because from what I understand, here in the States, we have an issue with the Canadian geese being almost parasitic, almost. They're just everywhere.
Is that the ones with dark feathers and everything?
Yeah.
They're all over this area.
All over
I
everywhere.
got a pond right over here. They're
like everywhere.
Swarms of them.
They're like a nuisance almost.
Yeah.
Because there's so many. And we love swans here.
Yeah,
they see a swan,
beautiful.
they're like, oh my God. Apparently swans are the nuisance of England. And there's so many of them there that they're like, ugh, more swans. Get out of here, swans. And we're like, oh my God, look at the beautiful swans. They should have some of our Canadian geese.
So we're just tourists. We're just there for like a week or something like that. They're there all the fucking time. This fabulous David Warner on the right there.
Could he be any more British?
Is any more 70s British top? Basically, just rolls on the bed. That's about it.
Yeah.
You don't have to do nothing with that. Just mat it down.
And at this point, we've skipped ahead 5 years.
Yeah.
There's never been any sort of incident or...
Right.
Like anything...
Indication.
Right.
Yeah.
Was that supposed to be like mom guilt that...
Maybe a tad bit,
The kid's more attached to the nanny than...
Yeah.
And I never really understood the Rottweiler. Is it, like a harbinger of doom?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Is it...
Originally, they were going to have Saint Bernards, I guess, or something like that.
I love a Rottweiler. I love a Rottweiler.
But the problem was that they didn't have any of those in England, and it was a 6-month quarantine to bring any dogs in from outside the country.
That's strange.
So I think actually in the remake, which you don't have much reason to talk about, I think they changed it to that.
You know what my problem with the remake was from 2006?
It's basically the same goddamn movie.
They used the same script.
Yeah.
They shot it shot for shot. There's no difference. It's not...
just minor different scenes or slight things here and there, but not much.
This is creepy as shit.
I
love it. I love it. This scene, scarred me when I saw it as a teenager. I think I was probably 14, 15 when I saw this the first time. And I guess scarred me is the wrong word, but, I think hanging is, super creepy. Super creepy. And it's just beautiful imagery if you're going to scare the shit out of somebody.
Sure.
And the fact that she does it at the party, and it looked
can't
really
make heads or tails of why this happened. What the hell?
It looked very realistic.
Mm-hmm.
She went through the window. It was like, what a beautiful, if that's the right word, beautiful. This kid's creepy, though.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful pup. Creepy kid, beautiful dog.
Yeah, they had to dye his hair and give him contact lenses to change his look, because he was like blonde, blue eyes kid.
Oh, sure. That's the best, when you, like, make the kids look super creepy.
Ah. What kind of car that is?
Yeah, I don't know if it's weird. Like in the 70s, the British always had these like weird cars that I feel like weren't available to us here. Like, I don't think anybody in America had this car. There's like 5 people standing outside.
Yeah, just waiting.
Waiting. Can you imagine if this happened in 2019 or 2020 or... I didn't say 2020 because, you know, everybody was inside at their house last year for the pandemic. But, I mean, in this 24-hour news cycle that we have...
Well, there'd be about 30 more of these guys, for one.
Yeah, there'd be 700 people with news vans.
Yes.
I do like that they've established a little rapport between these two.
Right.
You know, send me a bill for the damage is, you know, makes him look like a nice guy.
Sure. Yeah.
I feel like ambassadorship would be so boring. Especially with a country like England, where we're just friends all the time.
Yeah. He already looks like the Prophet of Doom.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like death warmed over here.
Yes, indeed.
If I had this guy walk into my office and demand that I accept Christ and take communion, he may go out the window. And you know, the message here is that the kid is bad.
Right.
Now, how would he know that?
Right. I mean, it's with this priest character, it's like, man, he goes about this completely ass backwards, man. He's walking in there thinking like, the ambassador, man, he's already going to buy into the fanatical madness of the entire thing. Is like, man, do you at least try walking in there with a sense of like a sliver of rationale?
Right, he's fucking Crazy Ralph here.
Right. And within 5 seconds, he's already itching to hit the security button.
There's something about this that I don't like. He walks in, he's like, you know, here we have a new character,
right.
And he's saying, I know everything there is.
Yeah.
I was at the hospital. I saw and it's like,
yeah,
really?
There's certain structural things I have with the film, where there's a lot of things that don't feel like they kind of ease you into certain things. As it feels like a lot of the scenes kind of just drop you into moments.
Yeah. His mother was a jack. He's obviously going to say jackal.
Mm-hmm.
I have such a hard time with this religious stuff.
Right.
Explain to me. No, don't explain anything. Never mind.
Because you're not sure exactly what's supposed to be metaphor, what's supposed to be more kind of like just blatant type of stuff in a certain way.
I'm not as familiar with some of the religious tropes or
me neither.
mythology or tales of woe that where I can, differentiate myth from metaphor.
Right.
He looks better with a hat. He should have left the hat on.
Right.
Or is that not a thing? When you go in the building, you got to take your hat off?
Well, it's a gentlemanly thing to take your hat off, yeah.
But is it when you're inside the building, like you go in a building, you take your hat off? Is that what it is?
I think that's what it used to be, yeah.
I love hats. I wish hats would come back. Unfortunately, my head is so giant. It doesn't look it, but it is, that I can't even wear a hat. They just don't fit correctly.
This takes me back to high school. I had a film development and everything like that in my graphic arts class.
I never did it. I never once developed a film.
Well, my dad was in that type of industry, so I kind of slipped into it a little bit here and there.
I love that he's smoking.
Oh, yeah, with all the chemicals.
Right. And this
turn into that. Well, you don't know Ghostbusters, but there's a whole scene Ghostbusters 2 where they're developing film and stuff like that of the evil guy, and everything bursts into flames everywhere.
I've seen Ghostbusters.
The second one.
I've seen the second one. I saw it in the theater. I was, whatever it was, 8, 9 years old whenever it came out. And, it was okay.
Yeah.
When you're 8 or 9. I don't know if I've ever rewatched the second one. I've rewatched the first one and given it multiple tries, and it's just not my kind of humor. I love... Oh, this lady's also undeniably British.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, look at her. I love the storyline of the images being, altered,
right.
Not altered, but having blemishes that ultimately lead to their demise.
Yeah.
That, to me, is so fascinating. Whoever came up with that, if it was Mr. Seltzer, then hats off to him. When I go in the building, hats off to him.
Yeah, much better used here than like Final Destination 3, where it didn't quite... had a good idea, but it didn't quite implement it the best way possible.
Right. The woman's Argyle sweater is tremendous. I mean, this lady is so British nanny that... I mean, it's straight out of Central Casting. Baylock is even a British name.
Okay.
It's like... It sounds so... Well, their last name is Thorne, which...
Yeah.
I don't know, just takes me back to like Halloween 6 and gives me a bad taste. But dun dun dun! Where did she come from? She was sent by the devil, aka your child.
I guess there was a screenwriter's intention to have like this character be like the complete opposite of what is portrayed here. It's like she was gonna be like the sweet old Irish nanny type of thing. Completely, last person you think is like the accomplice of evil or anything like that.
Okay, I could see that.
But Donna liked what she did when she came into the audition and cast her. So,
I mean, I could see if you have like an Aunt B character, that is like, sweet little grandma, and then ultimately she's evil.
And you see little turns here and there in the film.
That would have actually been better, I think.
Yeah.
But I understand the appeal here. Look at this woman.
Right.
Her brooch in the center of her collar.
But it is the whole thing. It's like, okay, you're already kind of set her up like, it's kind of obvious in a certain way.
Right. And maybe that is a cinematic change. Like in a book, it might be easier to slowly transition from, jolly nanny to evil bitch.
Yeah.
On screen, you might not have that much time, so you just start with the imagery of somebody who looks obvious. I'm okay. I'm an adaptation apologist.
For the record, it wasn't based on a book. He did a novelization after the film.
Oh, I thought he originally wrote the book.
No, he wrote a screenplay first, then he did the adaptation.
Oh, I've got everything backwards.
Yeah.
I thought it was, Peter Benchley wrote Jaws, and then they made a movie, and he was involved.
Because apparently, with the writer and everything,
What is this?
I guess
headdress?
Fox, in a certain way, was kind of irked in a certain way, because he retained all the rights to the book to publish it however he wanted to, and then they charged him a buttload of money to use stills from the film in the book.
Sure.
And then when they were doing the sequels, like, they wanted him to write the thing, but he really didn't want to write it himself. He was willing to go in and do a little, maybe like a consult type of thing, creative consultant. They just didn't want it, so they were a little conflicty in some places there. Nice photography, just like the geometry of everything.
Yeah, I like it.
Doing the reverse shot, that's really good.
Yeah, it's said you just set the camera on the banister.
Yeah.
Call it a day.
Yeah, this was shot by Gil Taylor, who, after this, he got the job to shoot Star Wars. And then he shot the Frank Langella Dracula film after that.
So he actually did shoot Star Wars?
Yeah.
The DP of this also...
Shot Star Wars, then... Oddly enough, Gil Taylor, and then John Williams both worked on the Dracula film.
And that Dracula was what, 79, 80?
79, yeah.
Okay. The kid wearing his dad's hat is awesome. I love hats. Hats are so great. The kid. Look at the kid. He's so good.
Yeah. He just like... He's almost petrified of the sight of the church.
Yeah, he looks like me. That's not true.
Oh, jeez. Donner works wonderful with kids, man.
He does.
Yeah.
And, well, yeah, I mean, if you've seen The Goonies.
Yeah.
Hello. I question, why did the Academy not look at this little kid?
Well, Golden Globes gave him an award for, like, Best New Actor.
New Actor, sure.
Or at least in a nomination, something along that lines.
It would be interesting to have the Academy introduce a category for like debut role or something like that, like debut performance or new performance.
Right.
But the Grammys every year do a Best New Artist, as long as it's your first record.
Mm-hmm.
The editing here is great. Like, it's frenetic enough that you can to create chaos, but you can actually tell what's happening.
Yeah.
Unlike in some of the other movies we've covered.
And this scene is what got the kid the role, because Darwin's basically like, the audition is, let the kid come in. When I say action, just come at me, kid.
Oh, really?
Attack me.
Attack me.
Kid kicked him in the nuts. Said dye his hair, he's cast, get him going. That's the gusto I want from this kid. Damn it.
Kick me in the nuts. I love it. I love that even a 5-year-old understands that that's a vulnerable area.
Oh, yeah. This pattern on the wall here.
You know what? Actually, I was looking at it, and it's not overbearing because it's only in the little accents. It's recessed in there. Everything else is white, so you're fine there. They've got some pampas grass. That was 40 years out of its time. I like the jade accent pieces.
Sure.
This is a very well-dressed set here. Mm-hmm. And they've got just enough green things on the shelves. And there's green grass in the pictures.
And the plant.
Like, look at the pictures. There's green grass. Yeah. And when you're in a wide shot, you pick up on the little notes of green, and you're like, ooh. It works.
Art direction's really spot on.
It's tremendous. And again, this Blu-ray transfer is so beautiful. This scene never looked this great on VHS.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, we're picking up on nuances that we've never seen before.
And with the photography, it's like, it's sharp, but there's still almost like a slight diffusion in some places. A little bit of glow.
Mostly around the edges. Yeah. Mostly around the edges. But man, it's crisp.
Yeah.
He's just so old. Like, I don't...
Yeah, I'm going to check. I'm going to check. It's also, it's like, there's definitely a wide difference in age between Peck and Remick. So, Gregory Pike, 1916 he was born.
16?
1916. Lee Remick is 19 years younger than him. 35.
Wow. 19 years. Good for him.
Sadly, she passed in 91 and he passed 2003.
I remember when he died.
Yeah.
How presumptuous is it for her to just decide to bring the dog in?
Yeah. So yeah, he's in his 60s right at this point.
Right. So, yeah, because this is 750. He would have been like maybe 60 when they filmed it?
They're about, yeah.
Or 59?
58 or so.
58, 59?
Yeah.
And, which would have made her, 38, 39.
Sure.
She's younger in this movie than we are sitting here watching it. And he looks like my dad.
Yeah.
This is very cheery and happy music.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to the safari park.
Oh,
okay.
boy.
I love a safari park. Or zoo or whatever. As we've discussed. Woof. Oh, hello. Coca-Cola and ice cream? Giddy up. This is the era when they always put suits on little boys.
Yeah.
Boys wore suits everywhere. Although that kid's wearing like an Evel Knievel outfit.
Like a jumpsuit.
Yeah. Aw. Giraffes are super cool.
It's the goofiest looking animal.
They're so awesome. And this kid just scared them all away, which is so cool. So cool.
I like the low angles here. Really gives it a imposing sensibility about all these things.
It's crazy how a low angle like that can change the tone.
Mm-hmm.
And, with the giraffe, you don't even have to shoot at a low angle. It's already above you.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So...
But they were always keeping it like... looking it up from the kid's perspective.
Right, but even the kid was shot from underneath to make him look bigger than life or whatever.
Yeah.
So, that's awesome.
Make him feel like he's looming over
I love
situation.
these like, oh shit handles that are in the cars. Love some baboons.
Oh, boy. That one's got a perm.
That's a lot of baboons. I think it's a baboon, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not getting my monkeys mixed up, right? That's...
Just how they're cutting this all together, it just feels tense.
Well, yeah. You're scared out of your mind.
Yeah.
Like, it's... Even though you're in the car...
Oh, yeah.
Now, what I don't get is that in this scene, the kid's smiling, as if he's, like, interested in the monkeys, and they're afraid of him. Whereas in the last scene, it kind of looked like he was, mentally projecting...
Right.
evil on the giraffes.
Right.
But in this scene, he's afraid of them. So it's weird, like, pick a lane.
Yeah.
Is he controlling them, or are they just reacting?
Yeah. And I don't think they'd ever do this today. The way they got the baboons to do this, they took like the lead one and put it in the car with them.
Oh, really?
It was like once they saw that it was in there, they just started attacking the thing
to get it back.
And then the one inside the car wakes up after they sedated him, and he starts going crazy. I don't think you get away with that today.
Yeah, probably not.
Too many insurance complications.
And PETA would be all over it.
Oh, ho, ho, ho.
You can't do anything anymore.
No.
Those lamps are hideous.
Yeah, I know. I'm just looking like she's sitting right there. You need a photograph on her nightstand. I don't know.
It's on his side of the bed.
No.
So if she's not there, he can at least, Yeah. But my God, those lamps.
It's a little tacky.
They might have been, very elegant at the time.
Yeah.
I don't know. That little clock on her nightstand is cool. The little gold one.
Sure.
Doesn't look like the clock radio that would be popular 10 years later.
No. She's definitely decorating this place. He ain't involved with that
right.
shit, man. No.
Yep.
He'll go down to the study with the bookcases.
He knows how to dress himself.
Yes.
He doesn't know how to dress a set.
Yeah.
Find me a doctor? That doesn't play well today. Bitch, just get on, look it up. Here's a game I don't understand. And I'm a sports guy.
What game is this anyway?
Rugby.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't have a fucking clue.
Can somebody explain rugby to me? Like, in the comments, give me some general rules about rugby. I don't understand it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can pick it up and you can kick it.
Yeah.
And you can tackle. And there's no pads. And then there's that weird, huddle that they do where they all dance around in a circle. I mean, I get that Americans have some weird shit.
Yeah. Him again.
Oh, God.
He just sounds like he's gonna murder someone.
He really only shows up to be Crazy Ralph.
Right.
In a hat. Crazy Ralph needed a hat.
He did have one.
He did have one, you're right.
Yes.
It was a great hat. I don't know why I didn't think about that.
Well, he's stuck on the ambassador like glue, man.
The camera guy or the
camera
priest?
guy.
Okay, yeah.
Anytime ambassador's out in public, he's right there.
Oh my God, he's so British.
Oh, he's fabulous.
This I think is really the hook that got me as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Teenager, whatever.
Sure.
Like the hanging scene stuck with me.
Yeah.
But the gimmick of the photos,
the mystery, the air of mystique, and
when the priest gets it here coming up, and it proves that the images actually tell foreshadow,
foreboding.
I was like, I lost the religious aspect of it, and I was like, now I'm in, like I'm hooked.
Okay.
I mean, I think that might even be the midpoint of the movie, right? We're at 40 minutes now.
Well, it's about an hour 50.
So, I mean, the midpoint being when the priest gets it.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. Because that would be the first time that the it comes true.
Yeah, plot elements start to connect up with each other.
It's a good midpoint, I would think. I'm guessing. We'll see.
And great shot here. Depth of field and all that. How it's composed.
The trees are beautiful, even though you can't really see them. I love a good poem.
Again, he's quoting all the scripture and everything. He can't just boil it down to something that just...
Right, just tell me.
Someone would say about Dr. Loomis, more crazy talk.
Right. Unfortunately, I'm still battling a paralyzed vocal cord, and I cannot do my Dr. Loomis impression, where he just yells. Bugenhagen. This is a classic battle between
skeptic and believer.
Right, yes. Great summation, because the skeptic or non-believer, maybe we'll say believer, non-believer, the non-believer has zero interest in what the believer is saying.
Right, and he's got no basis for the religious scripture, all this other stuff, and what it boils down to.
He might as well be speaking Pig Latin.
Right.
And the believer obviously believes everything he's saying, and it's almost like speaking a foreign language. The other person just doesn't understand.
Right.
It's crazy how the believer-non-believer dynamic is like a language barrier.
Yeah.
In a country that you're not familiar with.
Yeah.
Like, you literally cannot understand what the other person is saying.
Right. Granted, if he was trying to boil it down, he would still sound like crazy talk.
Well, sure.
It's like, I know about... I mean, you could say, like, I know about your child, and then the whole thing was a switcheroo at the hospital, and...
Right.
But then trying to convey to him the idea that your kid is the son of the devil. The conversation ends right there.
Right.
You don't get any further in that whole thing. He's going to call the guys in the white jackets.
Exactly. It's hard to say if they filmed this, like, is this just wind machine?
Yeah, something like that.
Or is this, actual, like... Because the trees look like they're blowing a little bit, but not...
Yeah, it's more almost foreground in a way.
But that's also kind of cool. Like, it's indicative that the storm is basically just on him.
Yeah.
And not
all
over the place, which in some ways is better than a mysterious storm that blows out of nowhere.
Apparently there were, like with a lot of these types of films where it's like Satanism, weird kind of crap and everything. Well, the fact there's usually like a bunch of like behind the scenes weird things that happen. It's like people almost like averting death and stuff like that. It's like,
oh, right. But you can find coincidence. If you're looking for it, you'll find it.
It's like the Gregory Pike canceled a chartered flight, and then that flight ends up crashing and killing everyone aboard, and two people from the production go on separate flights, and both planes get struck by lightning and other weird things, like Richard Donner gets hit by a car and other... I mean, it happened a little bit on Exorcist. I know it happened a lot with the Poltergeist films.
Right.
That was very heavy on that.
Everyone that worked on Poltergeist is dead.
Sadly. except for Spielberg.
Right.
So maybe he didn't direct it after all.
Here, and this is neat. He's running to his safe haven.
Right.
The one place he thinks he can have comfort and be spared from the wrath of God. Why don't you just step to the left?
Yeah, that was always kind of my bother with the whole thing. I mean, some people have tried to, like, experience, like, oh, well, maybe it paralyzes him or something like that. It's like, that's weak sauce.
That was the
explanation.
That is such a cool shot. And we're at 45 minutes.
And apparently it was executed in certain ways. Like, they didn't do any kind of prosthetic or anything, because on film you can kind of cheat things with perspective. The pole's just propped up behind him, and he's just kind of in a pose.
Oh, well.
So they cut. So they just, the way they cut it together worked.
It looked like it went through him.
Yeah. Because they had a different editor on originally. And
what is that painting on the wall? Holy shit. Sorry. Go ahead.
I didn't catch it. But because apparently they had a different editor on in the first place.
Look at this.
Oh.
That's a creep show right there. Sorry.
Yeah,
different editor.
Apparently with the first the first editor, that is weird. Why'd you hang that up anywhere?
First editor. Go ahead.
First editor apparently put together the whole film, and Don was like, God damn, this thing doesn't work. He wanted to start chopping different plots out of the whole goddamn movie. But I guess this is probably the first time he worked with Stuart Baird, who basically was his editor for like eons after this. And he kind of calmed it down. It's like, okay, let me prune this a little bit and kind of tweak it here and there and kind of get things a little bit more succinct, in their proper rhythms and length and everything like that. And he got it where Donner felt completely different about the whole thing afterwards. So an editor can change the entire complexion of how a film functions.
Have you ever seen those, I guess you can find them on YouTube. They're really fun, where they take the movie trailers and they recut the movie to make it look like a different genre.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it proves your point that, like, you know, horror movies can be rom-coms or whatever, depending on what scenes you take and splice together. It's fascinating. And now, part of what the priest said in the park that we were talking over was that Damien was going to stop the birth of this child, one way or the other, right? I think so.
I didn't catch that.
I think so. Or he'd never let another child come into the world. I don't remember the exact verbiage. I love that they would just put this death photo on the front page. God bless Britain. He's got some eyebrows on him, doesn't he? He's not quite Eugene Levy, but who is? People walking by on the outside there? I never noticed that before.
Yeah, so this is where all the guilt starts manifesting, because he's never told her that their actual kid died and he replaced it and everything.
Right.
So now she's going through this entire thing that she thinks there's something wrong with the little Damien and whatnot. I think she thinks it's her fault in some way, because you mentioned the whole thing earlier about him being more attached to the nanny and everything like that, and that's probably feels some kind of sense of inadequacy And maybe that she feels like, I haven't been there for him this whole time.
Right.
To really be a mother.
Even though she doesn't do anything, like...
Right. We don't see her doing anything as...
Like,
I mean, she doesn't have
a job?
Another piece of employment or anything, yeah.
That door is awesome.
At least he's driving on the right side.
You mean the left side?
The correct side.
Oh. See, we don't even plan this shtick, people. This is just natural chemistry spewing from us.
Yeah, she's creepy.
I don't know enough about religion, by choice, to know if, like, is Balak supposed to be representative of, like, a protector character?
I didn't catch the full thing that screenwriter was saying, but there was apparently something in some scriptures somewhere where he kind of like combined two different names to create that.
Okay.
Yeah, she's just going around the house watering plants.
Right. Why can't she be a goddamn mother?
Right. I mean,
and now is
typically if you're having a nanny, it's usually because you're not home to take care of the kids. She's home all the time.
Now, is Balak the one
influencing?
Right. Like, I'm confused still about...
Right. It's all a little on the vague side exactly what the deal is. I mean...
It's got a little Danny Torrance in him here.
Yeah.
I mean, he's even dressed the same.
Yeah. I mean, well, this is before that anyway. It's
I know.
5 years. Yeah, so...
Great shot, by the way, with the fish going splat. What's he gonna do? You know? Maybe reach through and grab the tricycle or something. I don't know. And bye-bye, baby.
Well, I personally was never quite as impressed with that whole shot where she's spinning around and hits the floor, because apparently they did that with everything upright and she's on like almost like a something to spin her around.
Oh, okay.
Whatnot. I don't know. I always felt like it looked a little tad bit hokey to me.
I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
It's funny. I never really put the Danny Torrance connection together. I wonder if that was slightly influenced by... I mean, Kubrick's a weird dude.
Yeah.
Who knows? He may have seen this and went, "Oh, I like that scene in The Omen where the kid's riding the tricycle."
Sure. I know. In the remake, they added more stuff in for the mother, where she's having like weird visions and other kind of stuff to kind of beef up her part a little bit, to make it just give her more to work with in a certain way. Because as we've been kind of touching on a little bit, they really don't have a lot for her to really do in the film. She's almost just being affected by the plot. She's not really involved with the plot.
Right. Yeah, she's like collateral damage.
Yeah.
Was. Like, how crass of the doctor.
Yeah.
He goes, "She's pregnant." And the doctor doesn't say, "I'm sorry she lost the baby." He just says, "No."
British have no tact.
No, none. Those limey bastards. Kidding. I love the British. I'm British. I did that ancestry thing.
Okay.
I'm very British.
I'm like half of Europe in my background somewhere.
Yeah, well, isn't everybody in America? Yeah. I mean, if you're not Native American, then you're either African or European, basically. We all came here from there. Interesting that that IV drip is a plastic bag.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that seems very ahead of its time.
That bruise makeup looks really bad.
Yes, it does. I want to say even like Halloween 2, they were still using the glass jars.
We did mention that on something in the recent times.
I'm fascinated by stuff like that, and so Was this legit? Like they were using plastic IV bags saline bags back then in Britain? Because that does not look like a glass jar to me.
No, it didn't.
This is the kind of scrutiny that you've come to expect from the two of us. I guarantee you, people like, the editor who does a commentary on this disc, he doesn't talk about shit like this.
No. None of the wives are like, she's convinced the kid is freaking death incarnate.
Well, yeah.
Don't let him kill me.
Even though, from our vantage point, it looks like Baylock is the one who's pulling the strings.
Right.
I'm not a big fan of those Tiffany lamps.
Yeah, it's a little much.
I get it. I understand it. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
Very interesting placement, too, on the stairs there. Where's it plugged in, by the way?
Right. Hardwired in there to a switch.
To what?
How many lamps you need in the hallway?
Where's that lamp plugged in? Somebody explain this to me.
It's a hell of an estate.
It's beautiful. The carved molding. I believe those are carved cement things above the fireplace there. Or I guess it's above a doorway.
Yeah.
I thought it was a fireplace. Baylock sleeps in the room with Damien? Is that what I was just seeing?
Oh, the damn dog.
Maybe it's like in the next room or something. Shout out to Donald Duck on the wall there. Probably didn't license that. I don't think that was a thing back then. Ask for forgiveness, not for permission, right?
Well, Disney's about to hit some hard times. They'll take anything.
Well, that's true. Free advertising. Disney was in a bad way in this period of time. Till about 1981. 80, 81, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Maybe a little later than that.
One of my absolute favorite books of all time. Here we go. Frazier's Book Club, coming at you right now. I'm recommending to everyone, go pick up a copy of Disney War. I can't remember the author's name off the top of my head. It's one of the best books I've ever read. It's a nonfiction story of how Roy Disney was thrown off the board and the coup to take over and turn Disney around in the 80s. And it goes all the way from that through
85 or so.
The mid 90s of the boom of
Eisner and everything.
Eisner and the turnaround into the musicals and all of it. It's fascinating stuff. What a great hook this is, going back to this story about the pictures. And this, okay, so now he's explaining it, maybe
roughly
halfway. We're only halfway through this movie right now.
Yeah.
This movie feels like it goes on forever. So cool. So cool.
That's why I look like dog shit.
Can you just get access to the coroner's report as
just a random citizen?
Yeah,
I don't think
know.
so.
This is why I can't write a movie. This was on The Priest?
I'm guessing so.
I don't understand. I don't remember this I honestly don't remember that the priest had the birthmark.
No.
I thought the whole point was that the kid had the birthmark.
And that was the mark of the devil.
Right.
Why would the priest have it?
This is great set decorating.
Yeah, this was from the screenplay. The screenwriter was very impressed that when he walked in here, it's like it was exactly as he described it.
I mean, what a great room this is.
Yeah. Check if art direction got any.
I want to say it was only nominated.
A rub off of this thing at all.
Nominated for a couple Oscars. Obviously, the score was one, and it won, but I don't remember what the other one or two. It wasn't more than 3.
Doesn't look like it. The cinematographer did win from the British Society of Cinematographers.
Okay.
So that's something there. A couple other random nominee things for BAFTAs, Golden Globe, as I said.
Well, this scene, I guess, really is, Well, I am kind of confused. Like, I guess that this guy's a journalist, quote unquote.
Yeah, photojournalist.
A photojournalist. And he's really put the pieces together here. So, I'm always skeptical of a scene where a character just info dumps. Sure. Like, oh, here's the entire backstory. But I guess if we've got it that he's a journalist and he's been putting the pieces together,
right,
it's a little better.
And he has more of an objective perspective of it. He's not part of the family, stuff like that. He can kind of look over the evidence and have a dispassionate look at all. And it's like, okay, I can see what the priest was up to. He was driven off the deep end about certain things. Then the photo stuff leaking up to the methods of how anyone died, it all starts to kind of like build up. It's like everything is way too much weird coincidence stuff to just be coincidence. Though Donner was like, on the original screenplay, there was a lot more kind of like mystical, supernatural, sort of extraordinary elements, and he wanted to kind of strip that away and be a bit more kind of try to have things that had a bit more ambiguous, to the point is like, is stuff really happening, or is Thorne actually going a little off, losing his mind or something?
Sure.
Is he hallucinating stuff? But
interesting plot twist there, where the photographer
gets his own
image. Yeah. And I guess a good midpoint trait is now we're pivoting, and now they're going to team up to try to solve the mystery together. So, okay. I love that copper pitcher. That's awesome.
There's patterns everywhere. And the dishes on the wall.
Yeah. Those dishes don't look like they've been used.
No. Those are decorative.
Them are the fancy dishes.
Yeah.
The Thanksgiving dinner dishes, etc.
Is it like a suede coat he's got? Corduroy, I think. It's got that.
Yeah, I'm not a
pattern.
fan.
No.
Not a fan of corduroy in any form. Just, it's not for me.
Nah, too heavy, too rough.
I don't like the corrugated look.
Yeah.
It's just, ugh.
Is there a Coke sign?
Yeah, I saw it. I could pick out a Coke sign like nobody's business. Some cool architecture and, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I am fascinated by, you know, how old London is.
Yeah.
Or Rome. I guess this is Rome.
Okay, Rome.
I feel like maybe there's a scene where they go to Rome. Maybe this is it. I'm not sure.
Well, they're talking... Yeah, because he was in... It was in Italy at the beginning of the film, so they're talking about the hospital where
right.
the birth happened.
So it makes sense that they're speaking Latin. Look at that ambulance. That's wicked cool. And the guy with the bloody head wound.
Sit there with a head wound.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, throw a gag in there somewhere. Because they're trying to hunt down records
right.
And people that talk to kind of whittle down the ideas.
Right, who is the real mother?
Yeah, the origins and everything.
It
wasn't anything official.
Right, it was off the books.
Yeah.
How convenient.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this was only 5 years ago.
All right.
Don't you think that somebody in the building would be like, oh, it might have been lost in that fire from a couple years ago?
Sure.
5 years is nothing.
It's an interesting elevator situation.
Lift. It's a lift, I believe.
Lift. No. Comedy gag.
God damn it.
I won't be forthcoming with any information until you actually ask me something. It's like, oh, no, not that.
It was only 5 years ago. 5 years is nothing.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it's almost like a, what do you call that, dumbwaiter.
Yeah.
I was picturing Halloween H2O.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of good dumbwaiter scenes in movies.
Yeah.
The Pet Sematary remake
Yeah.
had a dumbwaiter. That was dumb.
Yeah, no. With the dumb and dumb waiter.
You got it. There's that spice again.
Very interesting how they go through and kind of decrypt the scripture and everything like that. It's like, as you are with like any sort of metaphor or innuendo.
Cheers.
You could have it say 30 different things.
Sure. Well, that's the whole. I mean, I love that the Bible has been.
At least he says it's a bit of a stretch.
Well, I love that the Bible has been retranslated and whatever over the last 2,000 years. Yet people will argue about an a or a the. Or you know what I mean? Like, every word is so...
Right.
You know?
I mean, it was like, yeah, he's pulling from stuff like, theologians have kind of like said, eternal sea is politics. Like, well, that's one person's interpretation or something like that. It's, I don't know. From us being outside of the religious sphere.
Sure. Yeah, it's hard to say. Could mean anything.
Without having more of the surrounding context of all that type of stuff, it's a little harder to kind of say, oh yeah, that seems fairly definitive of what you could do for it. The sheep.
I love a good sheep. Lamb? Lamb is a baby sheep, is that correct?
I have no clue.
I'm pretty sure lamb is just the name of a baby sheep. You'd think that I would know. I'm a full-grown adult, but... Looks like they grow grapes. They look like a vineyard. And this is allegedly the place where the guy who gave him the devil kid is now residing after he survived the fire at the hospital that nobody remembered that was just 5 years ago.
Right.
Got it. And there's no saying that it was even a whole 5 years ago, because the kid was born 5 years ago.
Right.
It could have been 3 years ago that the fire happened.
Right.
Oh, that's got to be him. That's got to be. Oh, yeah. Little Phantom of the Opera there.
Not the best makeup we've seen.
Well, you know what? It was perfectly fine on the old VHS from the 80s. Now that we're in HD, looking at a, 4K scan or something.
Sure.
Like, it really makes it look terrible.
Yeah.
Anymore, they'd just make it a computer gag and, fix it in post. I'd rather it look like a makeup effect that is gone wrong than it be computer generated.
Sure.
Personal opinion.
It's always the thing. It's like, if you're only doing one real major prosthetic in the whole film, are you going to call in the best guy in the business and pay him the full fee for a day or two's work? Not really.
No, you get 3 schleps in the back to go, hey, sprinkle some shit on this guy's face.
Like The Exorcist, they need him for half the fucking movie. Of course, they're going to get the best in the business.
Right. And then we're going to take the room down to 22 degrees.
Oh, fuck you, Bill freaking. I would not want to work for that man. I'd go through trauma.
Method directing.
Fucking trauma.
Do you remember me from 3 years ago? 5 years ago? You gave me a baby?
Yep. Peck is so kind of almost melodramatic in his deliveries in a certain way. It feels... Yeah, it's not bad. It's not good.
It's not good.
That's fucking bad. Oof. Especially the eyeballs, even worse. But...
Again, it's because it's HD.
Right. When I watched this on DVD, I didn't think it was terribly good makeup, but yeah, the more resolution you get, the worse it does get. Yeah, I mean, Peck's a good actor. When you have him next to David Warner, who feels very, very grounded, feels very naturalistic, Peck is very verbose in a certain way.
Yeah, it's like a buddy cop movie almost. They don't go with each other.
Right. Peck's a little bit more... His drama's a little bit more upfront and powerful and...
Oh, yeah.
Forceful in a certain way.
Yeah, I mean, what's the gentleman's name? Warner?
David Warner.
David Warner. He's so kind of Joe Everyman.
Right.
And Peck is so, Hollywood screen legend that they just don't feel like...
I mean, Warner still has a sense. I think he probably came from stage in a certain way, but he has a little bit more of a better temperament in a certain way to deliver things a little more subtle.
It feels more realistic.
Yeah.
Everything that he does. Maybe it's because he's British,
Yeah.
but he has a nice ascot on there on his neck. But yeah, I get what you're saying. You know, it. One of these things is not like the other.
Right.
I'd sing that, but I can't. I can't sing anything. There's not a lot. I don't know how this movie gets really lumped in with horror, because, again, aside from, you know, like the traumatic nanny hanging,
right,
and the upcoming death of the photographer, like, there's not a lot of horror. It's all...
Yeah, I mean, Donner looked at it as a suspense mystery thriller. The kind of comment that irks me a tad bit is like, he said, like, if I try to sell this to myself or anyone else as a horror film, no one wants to do it.
Right.
Which bothers me. It's like, it makes it seem like he looks down on horror. It's like, it's not very interesting, it's not very good. I want to look at it as something else to make sure that I'm making something that I'm more interested in than what it actually appears to be on the surface.
I do think that horror was a, you know, second-class citizen up until, you know, the late 80s.
Sure.
And even then, really, I mean, well, to this day, it doesn't get any love as far as, like, cinematic achievement.
No, it does clearly writing off on Exorcist coattails, and it doesn't measure up to that level, because I think mainly what you get at with The Exorcist is that it's much more of a character-driven piece in a certain way.
Well, yeah.
With horror elements added into it, but it's a lot more about the depth of the characters and their internal struggles, and how everything that goes on with Reagan kind of makes it more extroverted instead of introverted, and kind of deals with those complexities of characters and everything like that. This one, the Omen here, is playing much more on religious fear and that theology and that sort of thing that goes on, where religion can be used to scare you and work against your beliefs and everything like that.
Well, there's a couple differences as well, in that the Omen here is based on hold on, let me think, what was I going to say? Is based on the idea that, like, the devil has been, you know, the prophecy of the devil child who is going to, you know,
envelop the world with fire and everything.
Exactly. Whereas The Exorcist is really, I mean, it's religious based, but it's just a demonic possession.
Right.
You know, it's not...
And it's striking more towards, like, personal, intimate fear.
Right. It's not a Bible verse wrath of the devil situation.
Yeah. It uses all those, as Marin says later on in the film and everything like that, is like, it's using all this stuff to make us despair, to kind of break ourselves from the inside out and use our own deficiencies, our own flaws, our own weaknesses against each other to kind of defeat us from the inside out type of thing. It's much more psychologically based.
By the way,
Omen uses religion as a big sort of wide tapestry type of thing, big wide brush type of thing. It's like if certain elements of religion scare you, this film is very effective, but as an ideologically based type of thing for someone like people like us who don't really have that sort of basis, you're kind of working from scene to scene, waiting for horrific things to happen, and it's very sparse.
So they come to this desolate place, and they stumble upon two graves, and it just happened to be the ones that they were looking for?
Mm-hmm.
So it's his kid, the actual child of Peck, is buried in the one. And that is a dog,
a
jackal.
You know, the entire thing is a little kind of neatly put together. It's like, you could have thrown them into a freaking furnace and burned them. You didn't have to leave evidence behind anywhere. It's like, everything's put in a certain place where everyone can follow a linear string to put all the pieces together at 5 years down the line. You didn't have to bury him in a grave. You could have burned him up in a cremation.
Right.
And covered it up like a regular conspiracy would.
That is not an infant child.
No.
How do you know that? How do you know that? Who? Who's a murderer, and how do you know?
Yeah. The only person we know is involved in anything was the priest they met at the monastery. You don't really get a sense of like there's wider elements kind of working towards it. It's like it's that priest, it's Blaylock, whatever the case is, and then there's no one else involved in this thing.
But what about
buried it?
What about the other priest that had the mark of the devil on him?
Right.
What is that? Why?
It's like it's a little too disconnected to a certain degree. Like he flashing on the Schwarzenegger film End of Days in a certain way.
Okay.
Where there was a lot of similar types of things going on. But there's a wider conspiracy people, and there's a lot more, again, supernatural elements to a certain degree to kind of twist things around and kind of scare you with all these weird type of things going on, where End of Days isn't all that good anyways. It's really dated and kind of blah. But
are you telling me that one is a stuffed dog there on the left, by the way? That somebody is just propping along?
They weren't putting those dogs out when Peck's on screen, because apparently they had the regular wranglers and all the stunt people, they had both metal and leather armor, and the fucking dogs bit through both of it.
Wow.
Started gnawing on someone's leg.
I don't buy that two men would escape a pack of dogs, especially Rottweilers.
God, no.
I just don't buy it.
One dog is enough for me, man. It's more than enough. Suckers will eat you alive.
I got bit on the ass once when I was a kid. What's up?
I saw there was a opening in the brush there. I could see crew members back there.
Oh, really? When we're done, we're going to have to go back and I want to see that. How do you miss that in editing? Or whatever. I guess editing.
All you gotta do is bring in another brush.
Right.
Plastic plant.
Yeah.
This is all.
That's all a set, yeah.
It's all fairly obvious as a soundstage to a degree. Who feeds these dogs?
I don't know. Nobody, apparently. How'd she turn that light on? With her cast arm?
No, the other one. She reached up over her head with the other one.
I see. You don't know you're the voice of your own husband or wife? How exactly do you get out of a hospital?
With a freaking...
Oh, with Tom Portman, right? From the embassy, of course. Look at this phone.
Yeah.
How interesting.
Unique. Not bad.
I don't recall ever seeing one that shape. Mm-hmm. She does have her best nightgown on for being in a hospital bed. I assume she's still in the hospital, right?
Yeah,
She wasn't at home in a...
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't bother, lady.
Yeah, that seems...
Yeah, there she is. Come behind her and choke her.
Again, who is really the bad guy in this movie?
Right.
Is it Damien?
She does a whole lot more to be terrifying in the film. It's like there's always a thing. I've assessed this film several times. She got thrown out.
That's right. She didn't jump.
She just collapsed right
Jesus. That was like Lethal Weapon style there at the front.
But it's so much like the entire film is predicated on the idea that Damien is the Antichrist. He's the most evil thing possible, the thing you're supposed to be dreadfully terrified of. He basically does almost nothing in the film.
Right.
To elicit that fear.
He's actually...
It's all the nanny.
He's actually reacted more.
Right.
Like, he reacted to the church. Mm-hmm. He reacted to the monkeys.
Yeah.
Like, he's afraid of these other things.
Right.
Nothing's afraid of him.
Right.
Except maybe that giraffe, but...
Yeah.
I don't know. It's the dogs are speaking for him. The nanny's speaking for him. And the priest is speaking on behalf.
Right. And they... I just had my head here.
Sorry.
They don't seem to fall on one side or the other, whether the kid is conscious of what he's doing or he's not yet there.
Well, that's what I was saying at the zoo.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like he was... mentally scaring away the giraffes, but then he was smiling at the monkeys.
Right.
So, which lane are you in?
Right. It would almost work better if, like, Michalak, she's obviously the evil woman in the entire film, and she does say early on in the film that I'm here to protect you, or something along those lines.
Well, like if she was the devil.
Or just the fact that she was the main evil in the whole film, and then she's the main evil, and the kid's not quite aware of it yet. It's almost like an innate type of thing that other people react to it, but the kid's not aware of what he is yet.
Right.
And then as the film goes along, it builds up.
Would it have worked if she was actually... Michalak was actually the kid's mother and she was the devil?
That would work.
I think so. I mean, I haven't thought it out here, but...
It's a sort of a more concise thread through.
But instead, we're making the kid's mother a jackal.
Right, and even Donna was like... You present those types of ideas like... No, it's hard for people to buy into the whole thing because it seems so out there. It's like, it was a jackal. It sounds more like, again, like we were saying earlier, more like innuendo, metaphor type of thing. Yeah. It doesn't seem like you're supposed to take that as face value. You could say his woman was a jackal because she was a horrendous person. You'd equate that to some vicious animal out there. So,
by the way, he remembers this entire poem.
Right.
He only heard
it once.
He heard it once, and he's not a religious person.
Right.
I've heard this at least 4 times in my lifetime.
Right.
And I don't remember it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he's a famous actor and I'm not. He can he can remember his lines.
Oh, wow.
By the way, there's still a half hour left of this movie.
Yeah.
Like, it just goes on and on and on.
I mean...
But don't stop believing.
When
it'll be over
last
soon.
Visited the remakes, like, it's... Like I said, it's like carbon copy. It runs almost the exact same length, but... Not to give it too much credit in a certain way, but maybe it's just more modern sensibility. I felt like... In a rhythmic way, it kind of didn't feel quite as drawn out to me.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little more succinct. It's just unnecessary.
Right.
It's not better than, it's not different than. That automatically makes it less than.
Right.
I'm Bugenhagen. He doesn't even use his own first name? This is where Christianity began?
Hmm.
And this is the guy?
Yeah, this is the guy.
I mean, he's dressed like the Big Lebowski. And he's going to be our, religious historian?
Well, if Jeff Bridges or John Goodman was this guy, yeah, I could buy it.
I just feel like the movie's treading water here.
Right.
We're not going anywhere.
Right. It would have been almost better if when they went to see the priest, they got the information they got here and the tools and everything like that. Here's what you need. Go check out the gravesite and everything, and then make your decision.
Right, it would have trimmed 20 minutes off of this thing. And
because we do get to a point shortly after, it's like, okay, Thorne is like completely like, I want to kill him, I want to do this. Then a couple minutes from now, it's like then he rescinds on that thing. So he flops it back and forth a bit too much.
Well, he is a parent, so
sure.
I mean, I kind of like that aspect of, you've been presented evidence that makes you want to kill your own child, and then you have the struggle of do I actually do it?
But his whole thing is like, okay, he believes in it, then he doesn't believe in it, then he believes in it again.
Like that. What does that? Radiate outward? Those are all in a row.
Yeah.
This guy in his sweater is just sitting in this cave.
Just waiting.
And he knows all of this information.
Yeah.
And he has this exact weapon. Excuse me. I mean, God.
Yeah, again, it all feels like everything's kind of placed in a certain place here and there for some to go on the scavenger hunt to put it all together.
Oh, he says all the apostles of Satan have the birthmark. So, the priest was an apostle of Satan?
Okay.
What? And Balak doesn't have it? She's not an apostle of Satan also?
Yeah, because he goes right home and checks the kid.
Right.
They never check her for one.
Well, no. So, an apostle of hell is different than an apostle of Satan. I need my secret decoder ring. I mean, I get that this is, the...
I mean, I get you get hit with the reality of what you have to do, and it causes some pause. It just feels a little too flip-floppy, too quickly back-to-back in scenes.
I'm okay with it, though.
Okay. Maybe it's just the fact that again, as Peck delivers lines, they're all so forceful that everything feels like a full committal about every thought and word that he says.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite have as much, again, subtle nuance to be the...
Great scene here.
Yeah.
With the pane of glass.
Oh.
I don't know how many tries they had to do, But that was fucking beautiful.
Well, they did two of them because in thinking the first time around the window he was going through didn't break.
I remember my dad's been a paramedic and fireman for longer than I've been alive. Mm-hmm. And I remember asking him one time about, I had known that he went to a scene that had a decapitated head in real life.
Oh.
And I remember asking him, like, you know, how crazy is it to, like, see a head?
Yeah.
You know? And his response, I totally understand where all of my sense of humor or logic comes from. He said, well, it looked the same, whether it's attached or not. I'm like, well, I guess you got a point.
Yeah.
Shout out to my daddy. There's that photo.
Yeah.
Now you need the photo next to the bed.
Yes.
That lock is huge. That hotel door style deadbolt up there. It was like a foot long. What exactly is his trepidation here? If he...
Maybe the dog, maybe... Blaylock.
Because clearly he's not... Oh, it could be Blaylock, yeah. He's not come home to kill the child anymore.
Well, we're not quite sure what he's going for, because we just saw him...
Well, unless...
renouncing, but then being affected by the death of the photographer.
Sure.
Then you got the solemn, reflective stuff on the plane, so you're not sure where he's going with it all.
I guess that's good, right? Because you don't know.
Yeah.
So, you know, the mystery is, what's he going to do?
Yeah.
I mean, the best thing that you can do as a storyteller is create questions that the audience says, you know...
Ponder for a while.
Right. As opposed to just giving them information. Ask them questions.
Mm-hmm.
Or make them ask questions.
Sure.
I got a lot of questions. What's happening? You know, is the dog also an apostle of hell or the devil?
Yeah.
Does it have a 666 mark?
Hound of hell or something.
Right. Good move. Lock it in. But as we learned at the other place, there could be 10 more later on. And who's to say that the bones inside the grave weren't a Rottweiler? Like, did they ever actually say the word jackal at the gravesite?
No, or they just reacted to it.
You're just supposed to remember that the priest said jack and couldn't finish the word jackal back in the office in his first scene of Crazy Ralph? I don't know. It's a very deliberate shot here.
Looking for something.
Swiss Army knife? AA battery. Ah, damn, it was the scissors. Was he going to stab his kid to death with the scissors?
He's going to... Because the mark is under the scalp.
He's going to check the skin. Yeah, got it. I remember now.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. I never pregame with these things. Mm-hmm. That creepy doll on the left there. Oof. Dolls are so creepy. I love them. Yeah, she's got like an adjoining room.
Yeah. You keep the fireplace running while you're asleep? I don't know.
Yeah, that seems questionable.
Yeah. Well, allows the cinematographer to create all this dancing light. It looks sort of...
Well, yeah, I mean, aesthetically, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Practically, I don't know.
Well, a lot of this does kind of beg is like, okay, the mark just show up recently?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you probably never looking for it.
Well, still, I was like, the kid never had a haircut before?
We've spent the whole...
How much hair did he have when he was born?
Well, that's a good point.
You've shampooed him before. You'd see it.
Well, maybe...
There's also the things like, okay, was that the first time they ever went to church with the kid?
I think so, yeah.
So...
They have spent the whole movie showing us that he's been in the care of nannies.
Right.
And not,
so,
you know...
And the first day went psycho.
How did he know where to look?
Just guessing. Get out some buzzers. Just shave it all off.
Yeah, there you go. Great lighting.
Mm-hmm.
Great shot.
There we go.
Wow. Now this is horror.
Yeah.
And listen to this music.
Yeah.
I know that most people have it on mute with subtitles. We have a little bit of volume. And man, well deserved on that Oscar.
Yeah.
And again, like, Damien's not doing anything.
No.
She's the heel.
Right.
How interesting is it that her pajamas look bright green in one shot and they're actually like teal blue in another? I love that he kicked her.
Oh.
That was a nice little shot. What's a kid knocked out?
Dragging him like a sack of potatoes.
Well, yeah, I mean, dragging him like a doll. Maybe it was a doll. Could have been.
Probably.
I was gonna say, shouldn't he just try to kill her? Clearly she's out to get him.
Yeah. There we go.
What did he get her in the neck? Oh, double neck. Through the face there, she got herself. Look at that. That's actually kind of cool. Oh, not even the neck. It's the shoulder.
That wouldn't really kill you.
Right. Is she dead? That looks like a doll. love the driving where you're just widely turning the wheel left and right.
Yeah.
Back and forth, back and forth. Like that's supposed to, like that's the mime for driving, right? Turning the wheel back and forth like that.
That's really bad.
If you ever do that in your real car, look out.
Just, you're going to get in an accident in about 10 seconds.
Did he say we've heard a shout?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't imagine how hard it would be to drive a car while you're trying to hold down a child who's kicking and screaming.
Right.
And again, a station wagon. They don't make those anymore. You just don't get them.
No.
They make SUVs and minivans. Whoever had the idea of taking a station wagon and just raising it up a floor is brilliant. How'd they get him into church this time? And if he really were an apostle from the devil or whatever the verbiage was, don't you think that the kid would react differently to being in the church and not just like a kid that doesn't want to be there?
Say back there, you dress a lot like Tom Atkins in Season of the Witch.
Yeah. I do like it when the good guy doesn't prevail in the end.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know. I've always kind of liked that. He came so close and then didn't quite make it.
Because the original ending of the film was that they were going to have 3 caskets here, like they all died.
Okay. Look at this news camera.
It was the studio head that suggested what we got here. That the kid lives.
Does she gets flowers and he doesn't? Is that?
I guess so.
Why is there only flowers on the one?
Mm-hmm.
And where is this? Is this back in the States then?
I think so.
It would have to be, right? Since they were American.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's in the hands of the president now.
Well, that doesn't mean that the president couldn't have come over.
Right.
But and that right there is like this lasting image.
Right.
It's great. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, this is just, I mean, that might as well be in Russian for, like, I don't know.
There's really no need for it to be here at the end of the film.
I don't understand. That would have been
at the beginning.
At the beginning, right. Right. Did Lee Remick ever do other stuff?
I'm sure she did. I don't know. In filmography.
I don't recognize her from anything. I don't really recognize any of these people. You know, sometimes you get like a young whoever that goes on to be something. Religious advisors to the producer. That's a great casting title. Maud Spector, you did good. Mm-hmm. This guy needed to work on his facial makeup, but that's okay. It's okay. So yeah, I don't know. It's very long.
Yeah. I've never been an actual fan of the film, but I've been fascinated about it.
Right.
I think it definitely deserves analysis.
Automotives, Ford Motor Company. Mm-hmm. Look at that. Yeah, I think I didn't like it the very first time I saw it.
Right.
And then I've grown to appreciate it over the years. Every time I see it, I appreciate it a little more. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's still just kind of like another, okay. It's just there for me.
It's one of those things like, okay, yeah, they're taking Exorcist and trying to write off it. I think they didn't quite grasp why The Exorcist works so very well.
The Exorcist...
They kind of gravitated towards religious horror, and they kind of just built it out from scripture and stuff like that.
But again, as a non-believer, mm-hmm. I don't have the "it could happen to me" factor.
Right.
Whereas, even though The Exorcist is portrayed as a group of, we don't know if they're believers, but
right.
It's a...
And that film always plays on back and forth of what...
Right.
Is what you're seeing real? Is it the actual devil? Is it not? What the real deal is?
And I don't know. For some reason, The Exorcist feels like it could happen to me.
Right.
Because, it's like, especially the priest doesn't necessarily believe that it's a real thing either.
He barely believes in himself to begin with.
Exactly. So, I don't know. This one always felt less than to me.
Yeah.
And I really like The Exorcist, even though I'm not a religious person.
Mm-hmm.
This one, I feel like, affects religious people more.
Right.
And
it plays on those innate fears of the mythology and the belief system and everything like that a lot more.
So, yeah, it's always just kind of, okay. But it's 45 years ago. It's a very,
very well shot film. Even though the score can feel a little bludgeoning at times with being very big and verbose type of things. Yep. If you're trying to approach it less as horror and more just like thriller type of thing, as there is a distinction between the two. I think for a thriller, a much more prominent, strong sort of out front score works more in that regard. So, regardless of anything I had to say about certain things here and there, it's very well acted. It's a very well photographed film. It has a lot of good qualities to it that make it a very respectable outing.
I agree. It's just good, not great for me.
Right. So, I'd like to hear what all you guys say in the comments and all that type of stuff to see how you feel about the film in general. So,
and somebody put the goddamn rules of rugby in the comments because I don't understand.
All right. Well, we'll bow out for now and hope you guys take care.
Bye.
Bye.